Welcome to the Breakdown with INFB. I'm your host, Heidi Gant. On today's episode, we're providing a sneak peek into one of our most anticipated events hosted by Indiana Farm Bureau every year for our younger members. The Innovate and Grow Conference presented by INFB, Young Farmers and Ag Professionals, will be held this year on February 20th through the 22nd at the Sheridan at Keystone at the Crossing in Indianapolis. So today we're talking with one of our featured speakers who is scheduled to join us for the event, Mary Pat Sass, otherwise known as MP. Mary Pat is a farm wife, mom, ag advocate from Northern Illinois with a background in ag tech. She transitioned from a corporate ag career to life on her family's farm, where she discovered the power of storytelling in modern agriculture. So, Mary Pat, I'm so excited to talk to you today. Thanks for joining us on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm super excited for a few weeks.
All right, awesome. So let's just kind of start at the beginning. A lot of people know who you are via social media, but I want to kind of understand how you got there. So you come from a corporate career in ag tech. Talk about some of your background. And did you grow up on the farm? Did you marry into it? What kind of led you to where you are today?
Yeah, I grew up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin and married into the current crop farm operation that I'm a part of with my husband and his family. But yeah, I actually met my husband through selling seed. He
Okay.
never bought it from me, but that was like kind of the connection, I guess, that first introduced me to him. And yeah, I worked for Winfield United, which I'm sure there's co-ops around by you guys that
Mhm.
work with them too. But I worked as a ag tech specialist for the state of Wisconsin, and I helped farmers and co-op salespeople and managers utilize the technology that we had and using like satellites and stuff to monitor fields and, prescription planting, all of that kind of stuff and crop models, stuff that I really geeked out about and thought was awesome. Honestly, I loved that. I loved the job. And then I left corporate after I had our firstborn. I really thought that it would be my trajectory to keep going in that company. And because I really did enjoy what I was doing. But I guess when I became a mom, there was a light bulb moment that I couldn't really, the travel and the commitment to my job and the type of employee that I was, which was like workhorse type of employee, I couldn't do them both and do them both really well. So I had to have an adjustment for our family, and that's when I left about 6 months after he was born.
Yeah. Which I'm sure a lot of people, especially in today's culture, a lot of women still work. There are a lot of working moms, but it's hard.
Mhm.
It's so hard. So I think I can totally identify. I think a lot of people probably identify with your experience, and having that kind of, adjustment to who am I and what am I doing. So I can totally
Yeah.
relate to that. So that ended up, having you stay home at the farm, but obviously you're a workhorse by nature, so I'm sure that fit right into what you do day to day at home as well, though, right?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't really start sharing online thinking that I would become like, I guess the word is influencer. I call myself a creator. It doesn't really matter. Honestly, take the negative connotation as much as you want, but I just didn't think that it would become a thing that would actually, be impactful for my family and our future. But it has, and it took a lot of years to get there, but it's been a fun journey. And I think the best part of it is I get to set my own schedule. I get to say yes or say no if it fits into our life. And my main priorities are still faith, my family, and the farm.
Well, and I think why you're so relatable, though, is because you're not doing it to be an influencer. You're doing it for a deeper purpose. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, you kind of want to show people what it's like, in
Mhm.
agriculture, and pull back that curtain of what you guys do on a day-to-day basis. Can you talk about that, about the importance of kind of, um, educating people who maybe aren't full-time farmers about what that day to day is like and what you all deal with? Is that kind of some of the reason why you do that?
Yeah, I think when I first started, I wasn't sure who exactly my audience was. I was kind of all over the place. I ended up thinking that I would always want to be connecting to the person that's outside of agriculture and wanting to convince them why what we were doing is good.
Hmm.
And what I kind of learned over the years is it's more about the story and it's more about them getting to know the family on the farm. And it's not necessarily like sometimes I do content that is specific to a certain practice. Like I did a tillage talk series this fall. So I talked about the different kinds of tillage that we do and why on the farm. But most of my content is like day to day. Here's what we're up to. Here's a new skill I'm learning or something new I'm trying. And it's just like very much from like I'm talking to a friend about it.
Hmm.
And that's kind of how I try to form my content is to be more of a story and a connection.
Yeah, I love that. So, um, in talking about that, so you're coming to our Young Farmer Conference coming up at the end of the month. Um, I'm sure a core of what you believe is getting more young people involved in sharing those
Mhm.
stories. So, can you kind of talk about what your advice is to a lot of younger farmers who are maybe starting their families and going full time on the farm, and why sharing their story is so important? What give us a little bit of a peek of what you plan to talk to them about when you come to Indianapolis?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different ways, a lot of different avenues to go down. It's first, are you wanting to share to become for it to become a way to diversify the income on the farm? Because it can be if you
Mhm.
put in the effort and want to do that and treat it like a business. But even more than that, all of us have a story. It's all of our stories are similar but different, and our stories can inspire someone else. So I think that's the avenue that I really want to go down is talking about just like the impact of sharing. And it like you do not have to be an influencer or have or even aspire to be an influencer, but sharing and connecting and talking about what you've experienced with other people can really impact their lives in a very powerful way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we try to do that here at Farm Bureau, but it's definitely a work in progress. And we need people like you who are boots on the ground who can share stuff, everyday stuff like that, because we can't do that just here in Indianapolis. We need people kind of all over who do that. And that's something I try to tell some of our members in Indiana as well. It's like, take those opportunities, like talk about planting. If planting is starting to happen, talk about what consumers need to know about road safety. Watch out for the the tractors going down the road. Be careful. It's just little things like that to remind people that this is your livelihood, and other people can be just a little bit more conscious of how they can help farmers grow the food that they will then eat.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of taking advantage of those opportunities. So that's awesome. I hope a lot of people will take your advice, and not necessarily to have to make a whole career out of it to be an influencer, but just grab a hold of those opportunities to like raise your hand and say, no, actually, this is what's important to us, or this is actually what we do on a day-to-day basis. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
Is
And
there,
probably
oh, go ahead.
I was going to say probably everyone in the room has heard because we are only 2% of the population, that if we don't tell our story, someone else will. And that is true, like whether you're in a small group of friends or online. But I will say as well, and this is going to be woven into my speech as well, but it's not always about trying to change someone's mind because combating doesn't really do anything. And a lot of time, if someone is online or already has their mind made up, you're not going to change it, but you can still take the opportunity to share your truth.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. So is there anything that maybe some one big thing that you wish consumers who aren't farmers understood about what you all do? Is there, I know you're kind of in a row crop family right now, but you've been in the dairy industry. Obviously, there's things about both that are kind of misunderstood. Is there one key thing that you wish, man, if we just had a little bit more education for people about this, that would kind of help what you all do on a day-to-day basis?
It's really hard to pick one thing
Yeah.
because there's a lot of misconceptions throughout what we do. But I think maybe if people understood just how deep farming is as far as like legacy and wanting, really, really wanting to have something for the next generation to take on, and all of the thought and education and expertise that goes into making a farm successful from generation to generation. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not easy. It's really hard. And I think that people outside of agriculture don't understand that at all. Just all the nuanced things that happen behind the scenes.
Yeah. And it's not just a 9 to 5 that you go to
Yep.
and clock out. So
Yeah.
that's good. So where can listeners go for more information about you, to learn about you, and to follow your day-to-day life about what you do?
Yeah. So my Instagram is Mary Pat. Oh my goodness, Mary Pat underscore Sass. I haven't shared it in so long.
Yeah.
Yes, Mary Pat dot Sass. I'm on multiple platforms, and most of them are some variation of just my name. This time of year is a lot of off-season stuff. I'm doing a lot more from home, and I'm really involved during the busy seasons on our farm. But I try to share kind of a look at both. We have a little homestead with 5 head of cattle and some chickens. And I do a lot of like old lady crafts and whatever. I don't really share a lot of that, but I'm like kind of a granny at heart. Okay. So I'm sharing like what I'm doing at home, freeze drying, canning, all that stuff. But during the busy seasons, it's all like, here's what we're doing on the farm and that kind of content. So
Awesome. Love it.
yeah.
Well, I've already heard from several of our members how excited they are to hear you talk at our conference coming up in just a few weeks. So can't wait to see you then. Hopefully people will attend and tune in, but if not, follow Mary Pat Sass on Instagram.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for joining us today. Loved it.
Thank you. I'm very excited to come and speak.
Awesome. Well, thank you. If you enjoyed our conversation today, make sure to subscribe to The Breakdown with INFB and even rate and review us to let us know how we're doing. For more information, visit www.infb.org/podcast.